The question that we're asking today is, how does neuroplasticity impact coaching outcomes? And this really comes down to neural processes and behavior. And we know about neuroplasticity, which is your brain's amazing ability to change and reorganize its structure and its functions in response to different experiences. And when we understand neuroplasticity, this is where we get to optimize our interventions to play into the brain's adaptive capacity, and we can facilitate that positive behavioral change and growth. And neuroplasticity is really the basis for all learning and for all skill acquisition. In order to learn something, we need to change our brain, some part of it. We need to strengthen connectivity. We might need to create new neural pathways. And that happens through consistency, through repeated practice, and through focused attention, and through deliberate effort. And through those things, your brain undergoes structural and functional changes that strengthen the right connections between our neurons, and it creates new pathways if we need them as well. And it's this rewiring of the brain that enables us to acquire new skills, refine new skills, develop new habits, and also to overcome our limitations. So you need to understand that any limitations that you've got, they're the limitations that you've got right now. But we can strengthen different pathways and strengthen connectivity to overcome those limitations. So in the context of coaching, neuroplasticity allows us to give our clients the opportunity to transform themselves, to transform their behaviors and their beliefs and their capabilities. And again, even if you don't want to do this stuff, it's happening anyway. You are changing every single day. Every 7 years, every single atom and molecule in your body has been replaced. That includes your bones. We often think of our bones as fixed. They're not. We've got osteoblasts and osteoclasts blowing up and forming and breaking our bones every second of every day. We are constantly changing, and your brain is no different. So this is why we need to engage in deliberate and targeted practice, why we need to create optimal conditions so that we can allow the right changes to occur. Because if we don't do that, changes will still occur, you just won't be in control of them. Now, one thing that I really love about neuroplasticity is it allows us to break free from our limiting beliefs and to adopt more empowering perspectives. And the brain's plasticity allows for the creation of new neural connections, and also the strengthening and the weakening of existing ones. And we do want some to weaken as well, because over time, we train our brains to respond in a different way. And these can either be through rewards or through consequences and punishments. So positive training or negative training, and whichever path we're more used to taking, it becomes the path of least resistance, and it becomes our default. So through targeted interventions like cognitive restructuring or reframing or different visualization, this is where we can challenge and we can modify those negative or self-defeating beliefs. We can rewrite those negative pathways, and we can weaken them and replace them with more positive and more constructive ones. And it sounds really simple when you say it like that. And it's because in one sense, it is very simple. We are quite literally just stopping using one pathway and we're starting to use another pathway. And we do that. It trains your brain and it says, all right, I guess we'll just use this one. This one's familiar, so I'll keep using this one. And it's this strengthening and this new thought patterns, I guess, that we need, which is basically your brain's neural circuitry adjusting, and it's strengthening the positive connections and it's weakening the influence of the old connections, and they're your old limiting beliefs. And this neuroplastic remodeling contributes to an improved self-perception, increased self-confidence, and also a greater sense of agency, which leads to more positive outcomes. Now, neuroplasticity also plays a huge role in behavioral change, and you can leverage this as a coach to help your clients develop new habits, to break unhealthy patterns, and to establish desired behaviors, the behaviors that we want. And how does that happen? through consistent and through deliberate practice. And this is how we again reshape those neural pathways that are associated with the behaviors that we want. And this already happens through things like goal setting and action planning, and it's the reinforcement that facilitates it's the repetition that facilitates the necessary changes that we need to make in order to get these outcomes. And so when we start to understand this, and when we start to understand the principles of neuroplasticity, now we can start to guide people through the processes of long-term behavioral change, because we understand that it's not just a gimmick. It's not just a shot in the pan one-time thing. Let's go do something. It's deliberate practice. It's consistency. And it's about you as a coach supporting people in being able to establish these new habits and sustain these positive actions over time. Because just because we start to use these positive pathways, we're weakening these ones. But if we go back to using these, guess what? These ones become weaker again as well. So that's why environment and everything that we're doing in deliberate practice is so important, because it contributes to the development of expertise and mastery. And you're either going to become an expert and a master in positive things, or you're going to become an expert and master in negative things. And so that's why we see those grumpy Gusses. They're always grumpy because that's what they've practiced. They've practiced being grumpy. So as we start to engage in deliberate practice and in focused learning, our neural networks, those neural pathways and our brain connectivity undergo refinement and optimization. And that's because your brain allocates resources more efficiently. And that creates specialized circuits that support the execution of specific skills or tasks. So you can leverage how your brain changes and how your client's brain changes through deliberate and purposeful practices. And this is going to help them to refine their skills, to deepen their knowledge, and also to achieve mastery in the areas that they want to achieve mastery. So what kind of targeted practice sessions and constructive feedback and facilitated skill acquisition are you able to do to help your clients achieve mastery and achieve that level of expertise? Because that's really the core thing that we want to take away from this lesson. How does neuroplasticity impact coaching outcomes? Well, it impacts it by facilitating that environment for change, for long-term expertise development, and for laying the foundations for learning as well. So when we understand this, we can start to go out and we can challenge beliefs and we can challenge behaviors and habits. And that all starts with engaging in deliberate practices that have a clear outcome and that have a clear evidence-based process to develop the right things that we need to get those outcomes. Bye now.